Most women know what they're here to say, but that fear waters it down. So what fear do you have around what you really want to say, around what your messaging really is, what your expertise really is? What is the fear? Is it fear of judgment? Is it fear of it not making sense? Is it fear of being misunderstood? Right? It's really important to know what our blind spots are before we actually begin to build the thing. Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast. I am your host, Taylor Simpson. If this is your first time, well, welcome. If you are a regular, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. I would love to hear those of you who are watching on YouTube comment where you're tuning in from. I think it is so cool to see where each of us are tuning in from around the world. This community is such like the realest, and I think it's such a blessing to see where we're all hanging out at. And who knows, in the comments, you might see someone that lives close to you in your area. Therefore, most likely a really cool person. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about messaging. This has been coming up so much on social media, in the university, with just people who have been coming to me. They're like, okay, Taylor, I have this big assignment. I know God's giving me a vision, a mission. Some of them have been already building their business, but they've hit a plateau and they're kind of burnt out, or people who are hungry and they have an idea and they want to know how to translate that into an online platform. And there is this word that gets tossed around. And it's like, I'm confused, or I feel that my messaging is too vague. I don't know how to put the weight of what my messaging is into a caption. And so today we're going to break down a few different things that are going to help you get clear on your messaging. Because when it comes to walking out your God-given assignment, communication is key. It is key. If you're not able to clearly communicate what it is that you are here to do and how you're here to help people, how are they going to know that you're the answer to their prayer? How are they going to know that they have been looking for you and you actually do exist? And how are you going to be able to walk out your assignment fully if your messaging isn't clear? So buckle up. Today's episode might be convicting, it might be inspiring, it may be all of the above, but I can pretty much guarantee you, if I was allowed to make guarantees, that you're going to leave this episode excited and lit up and ignited to really walk out the next level of your messaging. And if you're on YouTube, you know if I've got my computer out, that means I've got some notes. So you know we're going to school. Tell me, I run a university without telling me I run a university. Okay. Your message isn't vague. You're just avoiding what you really want to say. I'll say that again. Your messaging isn't vague. You're just avoiding what you really want to say. I see this happening all the time with women who come to me to get an audit, a messaging audit, or want to work with me one-on-one to help with their messaging. And I look over their content and their captions. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I get what you do. I get what you're about. But I feel like you're tiptoeing around what you really want to say. I feel like you're watering down what you're actually really good at. Like, I used to water down. Yeah, I'm okay with helping people with their messaging and getting clear. Yeah, I'm good at that. It just comes naturally. No, I'm really good at seeing women and translating their assignment into messaging that is crystal clear. You feel the difference? And so just have that awareness of your messaging isn't vague. You're just watering down and tiptoeing around what you want to say, and maybe even avoiding it. So, because if your message isn't vague because you don't know what to say, it's because you're afraid of what you actually want to say. So I want to beautifully call out these blind spots and these vicious cycles that I see so many women get wrapped up in, and that is updating their bio every 5 to 10 days, rewriting 30 different content pillars and giving one a try for 3 days. And if nothing clicks, they go on to the next pillar and they give up. Other signs too is getting engagement, women who get engagement on their posts, but not conversions. That's also a sign that you're not actually saying what you really want to say in your content. if you're feeling stuck, if you're posting safe content that you know will do well, but it's not really what you're meant to be saying, the message that is really meant to be landing for your audience, you're kind of just playing in a safe zone. You don't want to trigger people. You don't want to make people uncomfortable. Well, by not just saying what you really want to say, you're actually blocking the people who want to hire you, who have their credit card in hand, so to say, and they're excited to get to work with you. Most women know what they're here to say, but that fear waters it down. So what fear do you have around what you really want to say, around what your messaging really is, what your expertise really is? What is the fear? Is it fear of judgment? Is it fear of it not making sense? Is it fear of being misunderstood? Right? It's really important to know what our blind spots are before we actually begin to build the thing. This is why a lot of women work with me, because I call out and up their blind spots. And I only hire people who call out my blind spots, that are honest and real with me, so I can actually grow to the capacity of which I know God wants me to grow. And so think about whatever fears you have coming up that are keeping you from saying what you actually want to say. Fear of being misunderstood, right? Fear of being too much, fear of getting it wrong. These are also really common blocks and blind spots I see women wrestle with on the regular. So instead of clarity, right, women who get stuck in the fear of being misunderstood, being too much, getting it wrong, they end up settling for palatable content that performs but doesn't move, right? Most people chase virality. But sometimes virality is actually the worst thing for your business, because that means it might get put in front of the eyes of people who will comment and share and yada, yada, but they're not your ideal clients. And therefore the conversions won't be there. I know so many people who have gone viral and it has not affected their business positively whatsoever or negatively. But now they have been put in the algorithm and being seen by not their ideal client. So we want to make sure that we're creating content and messaging that is truly true to who we are, so it moves people, not just inspires them, not just motivates them, but actually moves them to take action. And when they take action, they invest in you and themselves. They'll begin to get the results that they have been wanting. Vagueness isn't a clarity issue. It's a permission issue. So if you're being vague with your messaging, it's not that you're not clear. It's just that you haven't given yourself, for whatever reason, permission to lean in, permission to say the thing you want to say, to lead in the way that you want to lead, to speak to the pain point, the struggle, the challenge that you are here to be known for, in the way that you are meant to speak it. So let that land. Where have I been vague and pretending like I don't have clarity, where really I'm just not giving myself permission to say the thing, to lean in, to own my expertise, to own my giftings, to share what I'm really good at helping people with. So 3 signs here that you're avoiding the message you actually want to say. Number 1, you feel disconnected from your content. You're kind of robotic with it. I'm just creating content to create content. Okay, post it. Next day, create content, post it. There's no life in it. There's no inspiration via you in it. There's no aliveness in it, and it falls flat for you. Therefore, it's going to fall flat for your audience as well. So if you are feeling flatlined in your content, if you're feeling disconnected, you're like, this isn't me, but I don't know how to share what my gift really is. I don't know how to share or how to monetize what my gift really is. So sign number 1 is that you are feeling disconnected from your content. This is such a blessing whenever women do a messaging audit with me, is the moment that they apply the content, all of a sudden they actually realize how disconnected they were before, and now they're alive. So you might not even realize yet that you feel disconnected, but it could be like flatline, it could be uninspired. And then once you do get clear messaging, all of a sudden you realize how far away you were from embodying the content you were creating. So just things to be aware of so you can improve, right? This is a beautiful thing about conversations like this, and blind spots are, oh yeah, I am feeling disconnected from my content. That's probably an issue. That probably isn't a way that God wants me to feel with the messaging that he's given me to share. It's just awareness. Second one, you're constantly tweaking your brand, your messaging, and your niche. You're constantly changing it up. Is it this? Is it this? Is it that? Yes, there is a season when you're trying to figure out your thing. Absolutely. But if this season has been going on for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then that's a red flag. That's an issue. That means that there probably needs to be a more honest approach to it, and a come to Jesus of, okay, God, I know you've given me something to talk on. Why am I dancing around the bush? Why am I acting as if I don't know what it is? Some of the women that I've seen that have breakthroughs, they realize they have to accept, oh, this is who I am. This is what I'm meant to be sharing. They just haven't accepted it yet, whether it's imposter syndrome, self-doubt, whatever. So maybe you just might need to accept the assignment God's given you, and to actually pick your bio, pick your niche, pick your pillars, and give at least 3 months to fully commit to them. And then you can circle back and say, okay, I gave that a try. Let me tweak this. Let me refine this. But if you're tweaking it every day, every week, then it's time to make sure you really prioritize getting clear on your messaging. Otherwise, you'll just be on a hamster wheel. Been there, done that, right? That's why in the last episode I talked about your gifting is helping people out of what you've gotten out of. And for me, it used to be my messaging years ago, until then I hired someone, got help, and now here we are. Third one, you over-explain instead of boldly claiming. Do you find yourself over-explaining what you do, how you help people, what your offer is, instead of just boldly claiming what you do and what you're really good at? Yeah, I'm like kind of good at helping people with their messaging, their branding, like I was sharing earlier. I also do this as well, and this, versus this is what I do, this is what I'm really good at, here's who I help. So are you over-explaining? If you're over-explaining and you can't just roll off your tongue what you do, boldly claiming that, then that's a sign that it's time to really look at your messaging, and that it's a bit vague right now, a bit all over the place. If your message needs a 3-paragraph explanation, it's not clear. And that means that you're not in a confident state. And that means that the person that's listening isn't buying what you're putting down. And therefore, they're going to scroll by, not respond, not purchase. And then we have inactive followers that aren't actually getting the results that you know you can help them with, but because you have 3 paragraphs explaining what you do, you've lost them. So here's the shift here. Clarity requires courage. Yes, there are tactical things to do, but in order to really step into the clarity of your messaging and your gifting, it does require courage. So getting clear means you have to decide. You have to decide that this is the thing that God is calling me to teach on in this season. I'm in. You can't tiptoe around your messaging. You can't have one foot in, one foot out. It just doesn't. You could try, but has it been working? Right? When you have both feet in, people feel that. But if you're in, out, indecision, well, people are going to feel that and not create this deep trust with you. And this also shows in how you decide things in your life. So if you're someone who like almost invests in something and pulls out, indecision, well, most likely your messaging is also all over the place. How we do one thing is how we do most things. And so in order to really step into the messaging that God has given you to share and see those conversions in your business, you need to get to decide. And that is such a gift and so freeing once you do it. But it takes courage, because then you can't look back. You can't tiptoe. I mean, you can, but what would be the point? You get to decide and you get to go all in. And people will feel that on the other side. Second one here. You have to choose what you're for and stop tiptoeing around what you're not. You have to choose what you're for. And this was a huge one for me. Phantom hair. There we go. Anyone see that hair just like you're watching on YouTube? Just flying around. This is a huge one for me when I came to Christ, right? Thank God for his grace and the beautiful kind of gentle transition he took me through online. And they had to come to a point where I'm like, this is what I stand for. This is what I don't. And it took courage. Are you kidding me? It took a lot of courage, terrifying. And also that's the world we live in. The fact that that was terrifying shows how broken our world is. And so what are you still tiptoeing around that you don't believe in? Where can you really step into the conviction of what you do believe in, what you do stand for, and make it clear what you don't stand for? This isn't about, I don't like that. That's dumb. That's bad. No, it's here's what I stand for. Here's who I help. And here's what I don't stand for. Here's who I don't help. Just making it really clear. There's a beautiful trend that I think is just an ever-going trend now, where different industries, it's like a B-roll of someone just looking at the camera, yada yada. It's like, this is the type of health coach I am. It's like meat, this, a bunch of emojis. This is not the type of health coach I am, and it's a bunch of veggies, right? They're a carnivore health coach, not a vegetarian. And so those are great pieces of content to really show your audience in a visual way of what you stand for and what you don't stand for. So then your audience is really clear. Can you help them? Yes or no? Third one, you must be willing to lead from the front and not blend into the feed. You must be willing to say things that are a bit controversial, that ruffle a few feathers, that have people leave, have people close the door, because then that way you are being so clear where you're going, what you're stepping into. And then in the feed, new people, current people are like, oh, that's where she's going. I'm in. Let's go. I'm buying into this. I'm here for this. Buckle up. And you stand out on the feed and not just blend in. This is why I tend not to jump on trends. Like the one trend I told you, I'm not even going to call it a trend. I think it's just great marketing. I don't jump on these hot trends because it's just going to blend in with the noise. If I'm going to utilize a trend, it's because it's very on brand and supports my message. And this is what I tell my clients all the time. Is unless your brand is about doing trends, it's a waste of time, because then you're just going to blend in with everyone else. You want to go first. You want to be at the front of people's feed with content that actually stands out, that shakes things up, that convicts them, that inspires them, that creates movement in them to take action, to invest. So, something to sit on. You can utilize trends in a good way, but it can end up being a bit of a detriment to the conversions and the movement that you want to create in your business. So you already know what you're here to say. Now it's time to say it without apologizing for how it lands. And if you've been apologizing for how content lands, how people receive it, you're missing the point. You want to be so clear with what you stand for, what your God-given assignment is, that you're willing to take the risk for it being misunderstood. But then also, most importantly, for it being misunderstood by people who do want to hear it, who do want to buy from you, who do want to be all in with you. And therefore, they make the investment. And then you can actually help them solve the problem that you're really good at solving. So if this episode stirred something in you and you know your messaging is circling but not landing, I want to invite you to watch a 13-minute video I recorded. It is totally free. It's called the Clarity Code, and it's going to reveal 5 messaging fixes to help you create more confidence, conversions, and clarity. You can see the link in the show notes, or you can head to abundancerewired.com/the_clarity_code. And I feel like it would just be so supportive for you if this episode really hit a string. You have a big God-given assignment to share with the world. You are someone who is gifted and who has a bright light. Otherwise, you would not be tuning into the show, because that's just what we do here. We are bright, lit people that are on assignment, in assignment. And so I pray that these awarenesses, these blind spots helped you today and have you wanting to create action around getting your messaging a lot more clear, and for you to no longer be vague around your messaging, and to get your feet wet, to jump into the deep end, and to be able to really serve people in the way that you are here to serve them. If this episode supported you, comment below with what your biggest takeaway was. If you're listening, share this episode with a friend, pay this forward. And if you haven't left a review yet, sharing what you love about the show, please do so. As always, can we go out and make joy super cool? Can we go embody what joy looks like and feels like and sounds like? Yeah? Great. All right. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Bye.